Michael Saylors just went on the national news and changed his mind about his original $13 million Bitcoin prediction by 2045. What if $13 million Bitcoin was bearish? Well, today we're going to be crunching the numbers with a Bitcoin CAGR calculator to explain why Michael's 21-year forecast is slowly getting more bullish by the day. As Rustin says, let's roll the clip.
Last 6 months have been tremendous. All of the fundamental planets have aligned. Bitcoin's been acknowledged as the one digital commodity in the world by the administration. The banking regulators have given a green light to bank Bitcoin. The accountants have upgraded the accounting to fair value accounting. There's been a surge of Bitcoin treasury companies. There's like 100 public companies or more that are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and every single week there's another announcement. I think that, it used to be we're focused on the halvings, but at this point, the entire natural supply of Bitcoin is only 450 Bitcoin available for sale every day. That's sort of about $45–50 million a day at this level. That is all being consumed by the Bitcoin treasury companies, and the Bitcoin ETFs are coming on strong. So I'm very bullish. My forecast in July of last year in Nashville was Bitcoin's going to appreciate 29% a year on average for the next 21 years. And that moves it from, it was about mid 65,000 to 13 million a coin in the year 2045. I'm getting more bullish on that forecast, but I'm certainly comfortable forecasting 30% a year ARR on average for the next 20 years. I think Bitcoin's up 57% a year for the past 4.5 years. Again, that's double the Mag 7. That's quadruple the S&P. That's 8 times real estate, and bonds are down 4%. So Bitcoin is smashing everything, Joe.
Love to hear it. And of course, I'm here with the wonderful Internet Selfie as a co-host today. But as Dice Forever said in the chat, why is Michael Saylors so bearish now? Obviously trolling. Again, let's just recap some of the stuff he was saying that is making him more bullish. We've been saying this on the show for a long time. We have nation state interest in Bitcoin. We have the institutional flows coming into Bitcoin. And if you do the math, only 450 Bitcoin a day are released onto the network. Roughly $45–50 million of Bitcoin buying pressure that can buy that up. And it sounds like these Bitcoin treasury companies are buying, are at least trying and predicting and saying they're going to buy billions of dollars of Bitcoin. Of course, we're seeing the banks get into it, which probably makes us all feel a little icky here. And then the Bitcoin treasuries they're going nuclear right now. Everyone is following Michael Saylors' lead. It can't stay at these prices for that long. Now, the real meat of this, though, is Saylor essentially getting even more bullish on the national news. Of course, I have the metrics here for you guys. So we're going to start with his original prediction. And this is, of course, from last year. As he said, roughly around 65K per Bitcoin. Bitcoin's 21-year forecast to 2045. We have the 3 cases. Bear case at $3 million with a 21% CAGR. Base case, $13 million with a 29% CAGR. And a bull case of $49 million per Bitcoin with a 37% CAGR. Now, he did only increase this by 1% on a CAGR, but I think if you do the numbers, and I'm going to do the numbers for you guys right here, it really starts to get crazy when you start compounding this year over year. And of course, bigger number in Bitcoin. So it's going to be a bigger number in the future. Now, the interesting part, though, is what Saylor said towards the end. The last 4.5 years, essentially, Bitcoin has been going up about 57% CAGR year over year. Now, we're not saying Bitcoin's going to do that, but if you look at these numbers and it does continue on this trajectory, then even his bull case of $49 million per Bitcoin in now 20 years seems very bearish here. So, Saylor, I don't think he's been shy about talking about some crazy price predictions out there, but you got to remember the audience here. He's on the national news. He's got to be a bit conservative when he makes these price predictions. And now he's just doubling down, tripling down. He's like, yeah, 13 million is probably bearish here, guys. And here's my reasons. And I think that signal is starting to spread out, and other people are starting to kind of feel the same thing. I know we've been feeling that here on the show. I know you guys saw Nico's progression from perma bear to now starting to feel bullish on the show. You know me, I'm highly regardedly bullish every single day on the show. So let's go into the numbers. I have a Kager calculator here. And based on his initial prediction, I'm going to do this off his initial prediction of 65K Bitcoin, 30% Kager, just a 1% increase. And you can see it was at 29%, which meant $13 million Bitcoin. And now with a 21 year, which is actually 1 year ahead, it's roughly 16.2 million. So 1% increase on the Kager here adds about 3 million to the market cap. You know, not really something to just laugh about here, but I want to update that for today's price of Bitcoin, roughly 104K. I think it actually hit 105K before the show. So I did these numbers for you guys. We'll chat about it. And then I have a more realistic prediction for you guys, maybe not 20 years down the line. I know a lot of people yell at us on the show about like, dude, 20 years from now, like it's going to go up. Who cares? Like, tell me what it's going to happen in 4 years. So first, let's do the updated prediction based on today's price. 104K with a 30% Kager in 20 years. Remember, the date was 2045. That would mean a $20 million Bitcoin from today's price with a 30% Kager here. And of course, Kager compounding annual growth rate here. So that means it's going to grow by 30% minimum over the next 20 years per year. Now, we could argue it's going to go higher. We've seen in the last 4 years, it's doing about 50-ish. So I have these updated numbers for you guys to kind of, persuade you that it's going to go into some big numbers here soon. So you don't have to wait until you're 20. We won't have to wait until we're in our 50s to see these crazy price predictions. It might come sooner than you think. But so before I go into the more conservative price predictions of 4 years down the line, why do you think Saylor's getting more bullish? Obviously, you heard his explanations, but I think the real question is why is he saying this on the national news?
I mean, it depends. Was this video from yesterday?
It was this morning.
Oh, then, well, it's not hard to see why he would say all of this. I think that he's watching the US go in decline in real time. I think our government is falling apart. I think things are shifting in ways that we could have never really imagined. But what we could always predict is that the money printer would go burr. And as soon as that starts to happen, oh my God, then there's no telling how high Bitcoin could go. I would have changed my mind too from one day to the next. And so the biggest thing that you could do for yourself, the biggest hedge that you could have on these uncertain, unreliable times is buy some Bitcoin. And the more people buy it, the more valuable it gets because there's only going to be a certain amount per, ever. So, it's kind of not difficult to see why Michael Saylor would be saying that in lieu of, what's been going on.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Saylor's been saying for a long time that the three things that take Bitcoin to $5 million, now they're completely clear. Of course, it's the ETF, it's SAB 121, and it's banks custodying and, of course, loaning Bitcoin. And literally all those dominoes had fallen literally this week. JP Morgan came out and said that this week. We've seen the ETF last year. Of course, ever since Trump came in, the SAB 121 fair accounting is now in play. People are taking advantage of this. So everything seems to be going well. We do have a more friendly administration. The regulations around Bitcoin seem to be, clearing up. I know they're kind of really going hard on stable coins recently, but Bitcoin gets through the door. Bitcoin gets through the door there anyway. So, okay. We talked about the, crazy 20-year price predictions, and everyone in the chat's like, bro, I'm going to be 65 when this $20 million, $50 million Bitcoin happens. Could this happen sooner? Now, I know you guys on YouTube, you love when can I retire on Bitcoin? What are these more short-term price predictions? Now, we don't tell you guys to trade. We're not short-term traders here. We are hodlers. We are long-term holders of Bitcoin. But to put these in a little more realistic numbers, let's pull up the Kager for the next 4 years via this new prediction of Saylor. So first of all, I have kind of a crazy one here. This might be the moonshot. This might be what happens. We don't really know. But based on today's value of Bitcoin, 104K, of course, I think it's up a little bit. It's 105 I saw this morning. I haven't checked the price yet. Actually, I can check it right now. It's at 104,980. So, you know, this is just round numbers here. With a roughly 56.57, roughly a 57% CAGR, that means 625K Bitcoin in the next 4 years. Basically, what we've done in the last 4 years, if we can project this into the future, 625K, it's kind of our base case right here. You know, we'll take that 57%. Who knows if it's going to hold up? So, but I don't know. Let's start with this one. 625 in 4 years. Is this bearish? Do you need this to go faster? I mean, I know I've been living at your house now for a week and constantly like, Nico, can I buy this stuff for the house? So 625 going to be enough for Sophie to survive in 4 years.
Maybe. We could always go higher.
Totally. This. So I think that's a good point, though. The base case, I think, would be, you know, like the average price. This isn't really accounting for like a parabolic run up.
Yeah, I think that this is just taking into account, you know, the next 4 years where we're at exactly in this moment in time, which is weird because in this moment in time, we would have already expected to kind of like
hit 625 this year.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So like if we're here in 4 years, then that just means that the next cycle, we might be hitting close to 1 million. You never know.
It's definitely going to hit it. So I think that's kind of the point. Just because we're seeing this number, of course, compounding annual growth rate here, that's not really accounting for the parabolic runs here. So it could go to the mill and then kind of pull back to the 625. And that's what, roughly like a 50% bear market-ish. All right, but these are just the numbers based on the last 4 years. So let's go to Saylors. A 30% CAGR, which is roughly 300K in 4 years. Now, that seems a lot more bearish here. I've been thinking 300K this year. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe this is 300K bear market, which I'll deal with the 300K bear market.
I don't think that's going to be the bear market. I think that's going to be the run up. I think if we're doing it exactly 4 years from today, then we'll be at 300K looking at 500, 600, maybe $800,000 Bitcoin. You know, that seems to like follow the pattern more closely to previous cycles. But we basically have to see what is going to happen this time around, because unlike any other cycle, I mean, like I said, we were expecting to already be at 500K right now. What happened? We don't know. The news has never been more positive, but the number has never been more stable, which is awkward for Bitcoin. But it is what it is. And is this the end of cycles? Is this the beginning of a new, less volatile Bitcoin? We don't know. Maybe we won't come back down to, you know, the 30, 40K range when it's the bear market. Hopefully we don't, because that would be very painful. But if we do, then, you know, maybe it's because we can expect 500K or 300K Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, we have a few different differing takes in the chat. First, we have Salty Apologist, and he goes, 600K in 4 years and 1 mil after next cycle is way too bearish. I kind of agree. And then we have MPC3G goes, basically 600K in 4 years. That would be fantastic because I plan to retire in 5 years. So maybe this is just the age difference in the chat here. Like us younger guys are like, you know, I guess I can wait 20 years for $20 million Bitcoin, but like, I feel like 1 million is around the corner here. And the guys maybe with a little more capital are like, hey, 600K in 4 years, that sounds awesome to me. So who knows what's going on? Now, guys, let's I don't know, maybe people in the chat, what do you think is going to be the compounding annual growth rate moving forward? Like Sophie's saying, and I've kind of been feeling this sentiment as well. I'm starting to lean towards the idea that we're not going to see a bear market, like a huge 80% drop. But that's probably what the market makers want. You know, they're just going to be like, oh, these Bitcoiners are getting over leveraged. Everyone's taking loans out. You know, they're putting HELOCs on their house. Let's dump the price here and we get absolutely nuked. But I'm starting to see it actually works. Stepwise function is kind of the vibe I'm getting until we get something that really breaks the levee here. And that could be the nation states, the Bitcoin treasuries. Again, there's hundreds now. And I don't know if you saw, but I forget what the company is, but someone reported today, it was like Frank Templeton or one of these big firms basically said like there's going to be about 2,000 Bitcoin treasury companies on the horizon. And again, there's only 450 Bitcoin a day that are released by the network. And the next chart in the numbers that I'm going to show you, things could start to get pretty crazy. Again, remember how much Bitcoin is, and I'm going to say supposedly being bought by these Bitcoin treasuries already. Everyone seems to be doing the Saylor strategy. They're trying to buy billions of dollars of Bitcoin. Where's the Bitcoin? Because the price has to go crazy.
Yeah, I was about to say, show me the reserves. I haven't seen the reserves.
Uh-oh.
I want to see them. I think that proving it will probably, drive number up and it'll drive other institutions to like really get it together in purchasing more Bitcoin because like you said, there's only 450 that are made per day. So yeah, that's not a lot in the scheme of things. And how much has been mined in its totality? Like over 97%. It's
or no, higher, or 95, I believe.
95?
Let me check. 94.64.
94.64. I'm not good with numbers. All I know is that it's over 90%. And we're nearing the end, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to last forever. So you better buy your Bitcoin now, get it into self-custody, and sit and wait because these next couple of years are going to be interesting.
Now listen, that's called motherfucking
Okay, we
blood.
got Rexona goes 50 to 70% CAGR seems realistic. So let's pull this up real quick, and I did roughly the 70% CAGR here, and that would equal 850K per Bitcoin in 4 years. Now, someone else in the chat said 70 to 80 over the next 4 years. So I think that's $1 million Bitcoin here. $1 million over the next 4 years, 76. Now that seems kind of high. I'm not going to lie. That seems a little high, but let's see what these numbers have to be. Yeah, that's way high. That is way high, bro. You're tripping. 86. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Let me know. Is 86% CAGR even possible here? I know it's done it in the past, but moving forward, I don't know, guys. Look, I know we're hopium dealers here on YouTube, but now we're getting into unrealistic territory, guys. So this is getting crazy. Let me see. Does anyone else do another one? Now we are talking. I like these numbers. Okay. All right. You like this. Yes, the dollar is dying. So maybe these kind of overblown predictions, to put it lightly, maybe they're not that crazy. I don't know if you guys saw, and I'm not covering it today, but the Treasury just did the biggest bond buyback ever. They bought 10 billion of their own debt yesterday. So, and we've been covering this the last couple of days, like the money printer is on. It's stealth money printing. And we didn't get time to cover it yesterday, but I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Elon and Trump are fighting, going crazy. Trump's talking about eliminating the debt ceiling. So it looks like the constraints right now are there. They might get completely thrown out the window. And as someone said in the chat, Trump seems to be killing the bear out there. Now, I was explaining this to Sophie yesterday. We were talking about the money printer, the debt ceiling, and she's like, wait, isn't this a bad thing? And it's like, yeah, the more money they print is obviously going to be bad for like the majority of people. But when you consider the global M2 liquidity, more dollars in the system, finding hard assets, as Bitcoiners, that just means the price is going to go up. Now, of course, we do not want best financial advice on the internet. Facts, hard hodl, facts. Of course, as Bitcoiners, and this is what we do on the show. This is why we're on YouTube. We want to get this information in front of as many people as possible before things start to blow up. And again, remember, we're not the only ones talking about things blowing up. We have Ray Dalio, one of the longest, most wealthy investors of our time, infamous, or rather more famous and really, really well-regarded investor, telling us there's probably a looming debt cycle crisis in 3 years. So I don't know. This is why we're here. We want more people to save in Bitcoin, because if things really do crazy, if we do go full Weimar here, our Bitcoin's going to go up, but I think everyone's standard of living is going down, and that's not a pretty picture, to say the least.
Yeah, that being said, if you guys are watching this show, please feel free to smash the like button and share the show with your friends. By sharing it with people, you will not just be helping us out, you'll be helping them out by sharing the hopium that is that is carrying us all through this week.
Yeah, we're definitely all feeling the hopium. This is a good comment though. Valeris goes, Kager only needs to get silly once at like 80%. Then it could cool off down to like 20 or 30%, but will be so much higher initially. The numbers go silly. True. And then of course we have the just standard bulltard in the chat.
That's Samson Mao's prediction, and I personally think Samson Mao is a very serious man. So I kind of, it could be. I believe him, and he's tweeted about it multiple times, so it's possible.
And you're referencing this comment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
1
okay.
million, 1 million.
All right. So for the audio listeners, we have Salty Apologist goes, we could go to 1 million this year, bud. Let's get real. We go ballistic and then taper off. I like it. I like it. I'm okay with this. And Whining gets in the chat. Nico isn't here, so let's misbehave. Yes, he's not.
What do you think we're doing, Wine? What do you think we're doing?
Yeah, he's not even in earshot, so we can get as crazy as we want. All right, guys. You guys got the Saylor prediction. He is moving up his $13 million prediction, and we did the math based on today's number, or rather based on last year's numbers. It's about 16.2 million now. You update that to today's numbers, 30% CAGR at 104K per Bitcoin. That shoots it up to 20 million per Bitcoin in 20 years. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know where it's going, but we all know the famous quote, it's going up forever, Laura. The money printer is coming. The big print is on the horizon, and it's all going to have to find a home. Now, the big signal we've been talking about lately, we're all macro experts. No one wants bond. No one wants government debt. And I think the biggest signal that we saw yesterday is the Fed can't even incentivize anyone to buy their debt. They had to buy it back from themselves. So I don't know about you. Take this information as you will here, but all the roads are leading to Bitcoin. It's super, super simple. Keep it simple. Stack Bitcoin. Take it into cold storage. Stay solvent. All the memes. This is how it goes. All right, let's see. I don't know how to do this, bro. Oh, okay. Actually, I do know. We'll do this one real quick and then we'll move on. Okay, so you said at 1 million. Let me see. Is that 1 million? Yes, that's 1 million. What, the next 4 years? I have to put in a final value here. I don't know, man. Like 20. Yeah, see, that's crazy, guys. You guys are tripping. That's 70, so it's like 3 mil. Okay, so at $1 million Bitcoin with a roughly 30% CAGR, 4 years after that, that is $3 million Bitcoin. So yes, once the numbers get big enough, we can go down to these normal, 20, 30% CAGR. That's funny we say normal. We could go down to these bearish, Bitcoin CAGRs here, and it's going to essentially triple in 4 years. So obviously now we're really getting into speculative mode, but hey, you can get this calculator yourself. It's actually ICICI Direct here. Let me drop this in the chat for you guys. You guys can play for it at home. It's not just a Bitcoin CAGR, but play with it. Tell me what you think. And, we'll chat about it another day. All right, guys, we got a jam-packed show for you guys. I actually have, this chart here, which starts to explain some of this math and literally how little of the global capital has to go into Bitcoin. And then we have Trump. The Trump media, just they fully have activated the Michael Saylors strategy, and they're going bananas on trying to acquire as much Bitcoin. So we got all that covered for you guys. And then also stick around. I don't know, Sophie, do we call this a meme on the culture? Yes, it's a meme. It's a meme. I got a meme for you guys. It's a video though. I got a good little chuckle out of it, and it's going to spark a good conversation here. So before we move on, though, guys, I want to remind you to smash the like button, subscribe. Of course, comment on this video. Are these CAGRs realistic? Are we smoking the hopium? Is $20 million in 20 years feasible? Is that bearish? I want to see it in the YouTube comments right now. And of course, the Rumble guys, you can comment as well. Anyways, we got to give a huge shout out to our boys over at Bitcoin Well. They are the best place to stack Bitcoin. They're the only non-custodial Bitcoin exchange in North America. What does that mean? It means they never hold your Bitcoin. It is self-custody by default. You have to give them a wallet. Once your fiat clears, they send you the Bitcoin directly to your cold storage, which perfectly aligns with what we believe here. We do not want you to leave your Bitcoin on exchanges. There's been way too many examples of people doing this and getting absolutely wrecked in the past. So we're ensuring that once you buy Bitcoin, yes, you will have to have a Bitcoin wallet when you buy Bitcoin. But once the fiat clears, it goes directly into your cold storage. So scan the QR code, and if you sign up with the promo code SimplyBTC, all cap, you have 3 chances to win 1 million sats in the Bitcoin wishing well. You just sign up, toss a few coins, and you win sats by default. So you get free money. Who doesn't like free money? All right, guys, on that note, let's get into the show.
I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
Yeah, hold on. So before we get on, some of these comments in the chat are hilarious on the first segment. First one, where'd it go? I just had it. We had CVQ, 3 million is number for ants. Yes. And then this one is this one's crazy, and I love it because this is what we're doing. Salty apologist, full bulltard in the chat. 50 million in 20 years is feasible. We quickly forget that they can't stop printing or the whole thing implodes. There is no top to Bitcoin because fiat has no bottom. Yes, this is what you have to keep in mind. Of course, as the saying goes, all your models are broken. So even our forecast of what we could, conservatively predict, it could get even crazier than that because we never know just when that huge print is coming. We never know when the fiat system will potentially blow up in their faces. So when a lot of people hear that all your models are destroyed, they usually think of it as like, oh, it's going to, underperform. I think very few people are as bull-tarded as salty apologists in the chat and realize it could overperform and all your models break. Now, we haven't seen that happen in the last couple of years, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. You got to keep that in mind, guys. So there we go. Anyways, let's go to the numbers on Clark Moody's dashboard. So it's a little under 105. I saw it hit 105 this morning, but it looks like we are currently at a price of 104,860 Bitcoin, $160 per Bitcoin, sats per dollar, aka how much your Bitcoin is worth in dollars, aka how much Bitcoin you can buy in dollars. Wait, did I say that already? Anyways, 954 sats per dollar. And the big news here, guys, on the numbers, the block height has reached 900,000 blocks, guys. We are currently at 900,063 blocks. 900,000 blocks, guys. I think I got in Bitcoin in the 600,000 era. Now we're in the 900,000 era, and there's new Bitcoins coming in. We're going to get to 1 million blocks. We're going to get to 2, 10, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But 900,000, it's over 900,000. I actually saw a lot of people celebrating this. I saw Mandrick say, he's like, yeah, I literally woke up just to watch the 900. I'm like, bro, I was asleep. I slept great last night. But it is a huge achievement in Bitcoin. Do not underestimate the fact that we are at 900,000 blocks, guys. Bitcoin chugging along. TikTok next block. Anyways, the market cap in fiat terms is currently at $2.08 trillion. The Bitcoin versus gold market cap is at 8.81%. Still a long way to run in the hard money game. And the total percentage of Bitcoin that will ever be issued is currently 94.64%, roughly 19.87 million Bitcoin in circulation. And the realized monetary inflation is 0.85, literally the hardest money in the world. And as of today, we are currently down 6.4%, you know, a measly negative 6% from all-time high. And everyone is acting like it's completely over. I mean, even Sophie said we're going to 58K again, guys. Can we put 58K to rest already? Let's go to 158 when they can bring it back in, and I'll have fun at that meme. But please don't say 58K again as the price of Bitcoin. We're going to 158, so we're going to 158.
From your lips to God's ears.
Okay. All right, guys. So today I don't have a video, but I saw this tweet yesterday, and it's a really good chart. And again, I wanted to connect this with what Saylor's saying. So Saylor was talking about, you know, the nation state interest, the institutional interest, the Bitcoin treasury strategy going viral. And of course, he didn't really even factor in the retail money coming in, but we have the regulations clearing up. We have some clarity here, the fabled regulatory clarity. But when you really break down the numbers of potential capital that can get into Bitcoin, and remember what Tom Lee said yesterday, guys, he believes that the potential demand for Bitcoin in the face of everything we're seeing is going to collide with a 21 million hard cap supply. It's simple economics, demand supply economics. And I think a lot of us have underestimated the demand. Well, especially if you aren't a Bitcoiner. I know some people in the chat are like, bro, I'm overestimating the demand because I'm predicting $50 million Bitcoin in like 10 years. So maybe you're the only one that's overestimating the demand. But a lot of people still haven't fully understand what is at stakes. They haven't fully understood Bitcoin. They don't understand the problem. Therefore, they don't get the solution. I mean, we even have Elon Musk spurging out on the timeline talking about the problem, but he hasn't hit on the solution yet. He's going, end the Fed. The deficit's getting out of control. Government spending too much money. And all the Bitcoiners are just sitting there like, bro, can you say your safe word Bitcoin again? Like, it's like literally, he's even talking about doing his own political party. And we're like, hey, we already have one. It's orange, bro. Like, come join us. Come join us over here. Anyways.
I think Elon's just butthurt because a bunch of us Maxis were really mean to him. And he can't stand it when people are mean to him because he's the world's richest man in the world. So yeah, he's never gonna come on our side, at least not publicly. I think he hoards a lot of Bitcoin. I mean, Tesla has a lot of Bitcoin still, right? That they haven't sold. So yeah, I think he's a Bitcoiner. He's just never gonna actually admit it because we were all a little mean to him.
Yeah, I mean, Nico has been saying for a while that it's Musk's ego that he's got to get over because he's, you know, he, even though he's a big fish in a big pond as the richest man in the world, in the Bitcoin world, I don't think he'd had the highest IQ around. I think there's higher IQ people, smarter IQ people in Bitcoin, and he probably doesn't want to just be another kind of engineer in the Bitcoin space.
Well, yeah, Bitcoin humbles everybody. It changes you, as they say. So it must be very difficult for someone who launches rockets that land back on Earth to humble themselves to a monetary system that they didn't invent, especially when they tried to invent a monetary system like PayPal.
Well, you know, just to spurge out here a little bit, allegedly shooting rockets into space. No, I'm not a flat earther. I actually believe in space. I'm just trolling. Okay.
Even the flat earthers believe in space, Opti. Like, chill.
No, they believe in the firmament, right?
What?
Yeah. Go read your Bible. Apparently, it's in there. All right. All right. Anyways, we are not here to discuss flat earth stuff. Nico would freak out. Okay. Check out this chart, guys. And again, the numbers, like, first of all, a lot of people forget just how much capital is in the system. We really can't fathom just how much capital is sloshing around out there. And it has to hit a 21 million supply of Bitcoin. And even further, it's probably going to be way less than that. So check out this tweet here. This is by Tephra Digital LLC. I really don't even know what they do here, but it's a great chart. So shouts out to you guys here. But it goes 107 trillion in capital identified, and a 5% allocation equals $5 trillion. And there's only 1.1 million Bitcoin left to mine. 62% of active supply hasn't moved in over a year. This may be the greatest supply-demand mismatch in financial history. It won't happen overnight, but this is a direction. For context, $5 trillion is 116x larger than all net flows into Bitcoin in 2024. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and pretend like I fully get the multiplier effect around Bitcoin, but from what I remember Luke saying, it's something about 3 or 4x every dollar that comes into Bitcoin. So these numbers get crazy. And you can see down here, before I kind of break down this chart for the audio, this chart reflects roughly 100 hours of Tephra research across U.S. wealth platforms, central banks, 401k providers, state funds, and corporate cash data. We think it's one of the clearest illustrations of capital pressure building against Bitcoin's fixed supply. So from that, this is just U.S., guys. This is just one nation here. Obviously, we're the richest nation on the planet right now, but this is just one nation, and we can compound that with every other nation at probably similar numbers. So it goes, Tephra identified capital pools lining up for Bitcoin. Total of 107 trillion. Now, breaking this down, we have U.S. wealth platforms, 50 trillion or 31 trillion of 50 trillion still restricted or prohibited. That's the money, the capital that can escape from the system, but soon will be unlocked. And then, of course, the top 21 central banks. Okay, this is global, $34 trillion. And then we have 401k plans, 9 trillion. And we just heard that the SEC essentially said, hey, you can invest in Bitcoin, or they put a note out and they're like, yeah, we're no longer going to push people away from using their 401k to buy Bitcoin. Then we have state managed investments, the pension funds and stuff. We have our boy Dom Bay on that mission. We have, Dennis Porter on that mission to get the pension funds, state managed investments to buy Bitcoin. And then, of course, S&P 500 corporate cash, roughly $7 trillion. Now, the part that gets crazy, and of course, you got to love this visual. It's a huge pyramid on top of a little pyramid, which is the Bitcoin total supply. And they're using the remaining supply to be mined, of course, till 2140, 1.1 million, and then the total mine supply of 19.9 million as the base, with a market cap of 2 trillion. So 5% allocation. And this seems to be the norm right now. The BlackRocks of the world, they're saying, 1 to 2%. Some people are saying 5%. We're basically saying just get off zero. So if 5% of that allocation, $5 trillion, meets the hard cap supply of Bitcoin, I don't know what the multiplier effects of this would be, but if this happened in 1 year, as you can see from this tweet, 116x larger than the net flows into Bitcoin in 2025. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do like this framing here, and it really paints a picture of just how small Bitcoin is compared to how huge the global capital markets are. And it's got to hit a hard cap supply of 21 million. I don't know, Sophie, this is starting to make me feel a little more bullish.
Yeah, well, when you look at it this way, when you look at the world global supply entering Bitcoin and finally opening their eyes and realizing, hey, we don't have to actually rely on the dollar here. We can actually store our wealth in a harder asset and then we won't be policed for the rest of our lives. Doesn't that sound like a good deal? And it's an investment that will go up over time. Sign me up. As soon as people find out that this is the way, that's the beginning of hyper Bitcoinization. That's really the beginning of it, because when the government starts to do it, these institutions start to do it, they start telling their clients, they start telling the world's richest people in the world, then what were you laughing at?
The chat. Globe-tard alert. I'm a globe-tard, apparently.
What does that mean?
I believe that the Earth is a planet and it's in space, so I'm a globe tard. You know, it's like the planet's a globe.
Well,
Anyways,
God forbid.
that's flat Earth humor, apparently.
God forbid we believe in that the Earth is round. Anyway, all I'm saying is it looks like this is the beginning of hyper Bitcoinization. All of the cards are laid out. The scene is set. The cobwebs have kind of been moved out of the dark forest, and we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, where all the news is good. Everyone is like kind of getting out of our way. JD Vance just spoke at the Bitcoin conference and said, "Look, we're not going to get in your way." He didn't really say much of value, but just saying that he's not going to get in our way was good enough for me. And if that's the case, other countries are not just going to follow. They actually might go all in when they realize that they have much more to gain from this than staying on a fiat standard.
Totally. Great question in the chat. Salty apologist. Does this even include real estate, collectibles, etc., that will rotate to Bitcoin? No, it doesn't appear to include real estate and other store of values. Of course, I showed you that chart yesterday. That's $1,000 trillion here. I think real estate, if I remember correctly, it was like $318 trillion. Yeah. Well, it's 1 quadrillion, but for people to
1,000 trillion.
$1,000 trillion. You know, when you get to these big numbers, Sophie, you got to make up numbers so they make sense.
I feel like we're talking about space here. Like now all the subjects are getting mixed up for me. Are we talking about space? Are we talking about like these are like high-end scientific numbers for me?
1 quadrillion is 1,000 trillion. It's like, you know, a billion's 1,000 million. You know, we don't say that anymore, but they used to say that.
Right.
But there's a lot of capital out there. The point remains the same. There is so much capital out there, and this is only talking about 107 trillion that can potentially find its way into Bitcoin. So again, these numbers can break the models to the upside. I know a lot of people that are, you know, maybe they're skeptical, they're cynical. They just, you know, they haven't drinking the orange Kool-Aid yet, or they're maybe a little more sober when it comes to the Bitcoin price predictions. But when you look at the math and the capital that will eventually find its way into Bitcoin, just a small portion of those getting into Bitcoin means huge numbers. Will it happen this year? Will it happen in 4 years? No. But again, as Saylor's saying, I think in 10, 20 years, all of this is going to happen. I was mentioning a conversation I had with Luke, and I haven't told you this, Sophie. Luke was literally telling me Monday, he's like, bro, I think it's over in 3 years. I think Bitcoin won. Jacob's like, I kind of agree with you. And I'm like, okay, what's over mean? Like $1 million Bitcoin? He's like, no, dude, $10 million Bitcoin in 3 years. Like the fiat system's done. And even I was like, yo, like now you're getting in some crazy prediction. So maybe we'll talk about that on Monday because Luke is coming in on hosting the show Monday. But yeah, we'll talk about that.
Opti, if I would have told you 3 days, 72 hours ago that Donald Trump and Elon Musk would be breaking up, would you believe me? Like severe, ugly breaking up. Would you believe me?
Nah.
Okay, no. So imagine what's
I wouldn't believe you in like a day, but I was kind of suspecting it wouldn't last that long.
Okay, fine. If I would have told you this like a month ago.
No, I'd be like,
exactly.
No, probably by the end of the year.
So imagine by the end of this year, everything with all the information that we have about the economy, about the dollar, about how Bitcoin works, about the amount of money that's coming into Bitcoin. I mean, it's not that unbelievable. It's just unbelievable for people who are watching this show and who have been following us for a really long time and for ourselves, because we've been holding for what seems like an eternity. And we've been waiting for this moment forever. So we're a little impatient right now. We kind of thought that Bitcoin would be at least at like 150 right now, right? 150K. And it hasn't happened yet, but that's what hodling is all about. It's about maximum pain, and it's going to happen. And we just got to be patient and see how things play out.
Agreed. Sophie just basically told me to lower my time preference. Guys, in the chat, as I move on, what is the max pain scenario right here? Is max pain sideways, a drop, or is max pain just Bitcoin ripping and everyone sitting on the sidelines? I want to gauge the temperature as I hit the transition. So in the news, we're going to be talking about the Trump media. they are activating the Saylor strategy. They're going full bull tart on this. So it's getting crazy out here. And I think as Sophie was saying earlier, we can't really predict how many of these companies are going to do something similar. Once that Bitcoin bug hits, all bets are off the table. And we're seeing it happen in real time. So let's chat about it. But drop what Max Payne scenario is in the chat.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Casa. Casa makes self-custody easy and secure. As a Bitcoiner, I care about holding my own private keys, but multi-sig can sometimes get tricky. Casa nails it with a multi-key security. So even if one key gets lost or stolen, your Bitcoin stays safe. And you don't give up custody, meaning no one could access your Bitcoin but you. No seed phrase anxiety, no single point of failure. I've been telling my friends and family about Casa for years. Their UX and UI on their app is by far the best in the industry. Inheritance planning is built in, and they even offer Casa for Business if you're thinking about a Bitcoin treasury. Hit up casa.io today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off Casa Standard or Casa Premium. Head over to casa.io.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, CoinKite. If you take your Bitcoin security seriously, you'll need the best Bitcoin hardware wallet on the market to take self-custody. That's where Cold Card comes in. The Cold Card Q is the most advanced Bitcoin signing device ever made. It's got a full keyboard, larger screen, and NFC support, making air-gap signing easier than ever. It's built for power users who want the ultimate security without sacrificing usability. And if you're looking for a battle-tested, uncompromising cold storage, the Cold Card MK4 is your go-to with PSPT signing, an industrial-grade secure element, and USB-C. It's the perfect blend of security and convenience. Both devices are, of course, 100% Bitcoin only, open source, and built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Secure your Bitcoin the right way with the Cold Card Q and the MK4. Head over to coldcard.com today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 5% off anything on the store.
All right, guys. So I want to hit a couple of these Max Payne scenarios. Valores, Max Payne is lockout rally to the upside. Everyone thinks it's too expensive again. We have Fear Lego dropping probably. Max Payne this year on 90K. Max Payne is holding alt this run. Max Payne is ripping. Max Payne is we retest the weekly FEG in the 30s. Okay. Let's see. So many on the sidelines and get left behind. Let's do last one. Dice Forever. Max Payne is Bitcoin ripping while everything else in the market dumps. Everyone on earth will watch in pain while Bitcoin maxis become the new social elite. Honestly, as much as a Bitcoiner, like my Max Payne scenario is obvious, like being all in and, you know, our business is completely relying on Bitcoin. Max Payne for us would definitely be a drop. But when you think of outside our ecosystem, I think that's the Max Payne. That's the real Max Payne scenario. Everyone else, markets are dumping and the price starts ripping. And as we saw yesterday, again, I don't know if you guys were catching the legendary spat between Musk and Trump yesterday. We were sitting over here like watching basically soap operas on the timeline last night, just having a ball and laughing at everyone's commentary. But, you know, the world's richest man and the world's most powerful man had a very public fight. And all of the markets nuked, instantly nuked. And look at us. Bitcoin is right back up to where it was. Whoever is selling their Bitcoin because they're fighting is just ridiculous. But it got all the way down to like 101. And now we're back. It hit 105 earlier. We're back at 104. So I think the real Max Payne scenario, and this is kind of my intuition, this is my vibes capital management take. Max Payne is Bitcoin ripping while everything else is dumping, and everyone is just caught off guard on the sidelines. That seems like Max Payne scenario. Anyways, let's go into this Trump news, guys. So this came over Twitter, and shout out to Bitcoin Mag. Actually, this morning, new Bitcoin treasury company, Trump Media, registers up to $12 billion in new securities in a new S3 filing. And just to kind of look into the press release, it goes primary offering of $12 billion Again, 12 billion. Common stock, preferred stock, debt securities, warrants, rights, units, secondary offering. So I do have a little article here kind of explaining, and then I have a great tweet from someone kind of breaking down the mechanics here. So I don't know if you remember, but they did start off and talk about we're going to do a $2.4 billion basically, you know, Michael Saylors strategy to buy Bitcoin. Now it looks like they're raising another 12 billion. So in total for you guys back at home, 14.44 billion. I don't know, kind of a significant buy here. Where's all the Bitcoin coming? So let's read the article and then we'll do a full breakdown. So Trump media stock on retail's radar after stock slides 8% on much viewed and dilution worries. Trump media filed a preliminary prospectus to offer up to $12 billion in security, raising investor concerns over dilution as existing shareholders, including the Trump family, see their ownership stakes reduced. It really does remind me of the strategy, you know, freak out. Everyone's like, oh, Saylors issuing way too much stock, is diluting our shares. And Saylors like, hey, guys, relax. It's about Bitcoin per share, and that is increasing. I'm sure the MAGA faithful that are buying the Trump media stock, they don't understand any of this, but it seems like the Trump media group is starting to understand what Saylor is doing, and they are doubling down on it. So retail sentiment toward Trump Media and Technology Group Corporation turned sharply negative on Thursday as investors digested two major concerns: a deepening political feud between Trump and Musk, and fears of shareholder dilution stemming from a multi-billion-dollar securities offering. The stock closed at 8% at $20 on Thursday, though pre-market trading showed a modest rebound of 1.9% to $20.50. Of course, we don't need to read that. But here we go. The Donald J. Trump, the parent company, or DJT, the parent company of True Social, filed a preliminary prospectus with the SEC for a public offering of up to $12 billion in various securities, a move seen by many as potentially dilutive for current shareholders. And just days earlier, on May 30th, the company disclosed that it raised $1.44 billion via equity at $25.72 per share, an additional $1 billion in convertible senior notes, and the proceeds are earmarked for establishing a Bitcoin treasury, making an unusual strategic shift for a social media firm. And as a result of these finances, the Trump family ownership stake in DJT dropped from 52% to 41%. So again, adding this up, it sounds like, you know, they're trying to raise about $14.5 billion to buy Bitcoin. Now, I got a good tweet here kind of breaking this all down. Yesterday's Trump Media and Technology DJT S3 filing officially adopts the Bitcoin treasury strategy, registers up to $12 billion in new securities that can be used to buy Bitcoin. This is in addition to the $2.44 billion they already raised via private placement, mentions Bitcoin 362 times compared to just once in the prior S3 filing. If they complete the full offering, they could theoretically purchase 140,000 Bitcoin at current prices. And note, the S3 requires a form of effect from the SEC to become effective. So this is just a plan, a prospectus of them to create, you know, this $14.5 billion to stack a Bitcoin treasury. Again, remember, only 450 Bitcoin are released daily. And we've been showing you the numbers. Roughly 2 million Bitcoin on exchanges. I think the number that I've been hearing, it's been changing from, you know, I think it was 95% of Bitcoin held by individuals. I showed you the number earlier. 62% of that Bitcoin hasn't moved. So the majority of Bitcoin is in the hands of the individual. Now, the real question is, where is the Bitcoin coming? I've seen a lot of people trolling on the timeline, Sophie. It's going to be funny when these Bitcoin treasury companies add up all their Bitcoin and it equals more than 21 million Bitcoin. So again, something is going to break here, whether that's the amount of paper Bitcoin and we find out that the emperor has no clothes, that there's some fractional reserve banking. Maybe it's Coinbase doing some iffy stuff. I know a lot of people have been saying BlackRock doesn't actually have that Bitcoin. Others are saying you can track it on the blockchain. Again,
Can you though?
You can.
Has someone actually?
Yeah.
That?
It's like Sonny and Checkmatey. They've been going pretty hard in tracking that big. Allegedly, obviously, we have no confirmation, but They swear that all that Bitcoin for those ETFs have been accounted for. Again, though, where is all the Bitcoin? Why is the price going sideways? Is everyone in the chat saying, like, what is going on here when you're hearing the nation states, institutions, Bitcoin treasury companies raising billions of dollars to buy Bitcoin? It's hard to think that we're only going to 150K this year.
Well, it makes me just very skeptical of the institutions, because it's not like they've been 100% truthful this whole entire time. It's not like they have the greatest track record. They could be lying. They could be, they could have internally been like, we made this product. It's called Bitcoin, and it's based on Bitcoin, and it's based on the price. But we issue the shares of Bitcoin that aren't actual Bitcoin, but we buy some of it so that it can appear as if though we have some you know what I mean? Like, what if they like rug pull us and like do something like that?
Well, not us, because we have our Bitcoin in cold storage. But yes, rugging you if you are buying these stocks because you think you're going to get a better return than Bitcoin. So yes, but how about this tweet here, guys? And you reminded me of this earlier in the show. I know a lot of people out there, and I've been making fun of Nico a little bit because he's gone full MAGA, trust the plan, and he actually hasn't. I'm just kind of trolling him. But how's Max Keiser laying this out, which I find very interesting here. This is Keiser's take, and I don't know if you're following him on Twitter, but he has moved up his 200K prediction to $2.2 million prediction. So we're all getting more bullish, and this is when we enter the parabolic phase, is when we get way more bullish. But here's Keiser's take on this. Trump's plan: remove the debt ceiling, print trillions of dollars, see the Bitcoin price smash $1 million, and then buy billions in Bitcoin. I think it might be reversed though. Print trillions of dollars, buy billions in Bitcoin, see the Bitcoin's price smash $1 million. That was a drop ball by Keiser. But I don't know. Are we trusting the plan now, Selfie? Is he going to just turn on the money printer and pump our bags? What's going on here?
I personally trust DJT 100%. I'm Team Trump. I don't know who Elon is. I'm sorry. I'm definitely gonna trust the guy that's gonna print so much money that it's gonna be unstable. Yeah, do it. ASMR, print it, Donald. I want him to do this because it's gonna be great for Bitcoin. It's just gonna accelerate things, and I'm all for accelerating things. I'm all for efficiency. Like, stop wasting everybody's time. Let's just get the ball rolling. The quicker you rip off that Band-Aid and make people realize that fiat just isn't it, that we shouldn't be on a fiat standard, then the faster we can be on the road to hyper-Bitcoinization. And the faster we are on the road to hyper-Bitcoinization, the happier world we will be. And then we will regard Donald J. Trump as the greatest president who ever lived.
Facts. Limited capital gains to be the best president ever.
He will have to. I think that there's a really great argument for just explaining that Bitcoin is currency, and you can't put a capital gains tax on currency. That's coming. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is not purchasing Bitcoin fast enough. Like, we got to get this fiat printing. We got to fiat mine so that we can buy more Bitcoin, Don. Like, what are you doing? Get it together.
Get it together, Donnie. Get it together. I want to comment on this. Zoot Suit, first of all, love your name. Huge fan of Zoot Suits. Latino and me loves a Zoot Suit. Trump is not a real Bitcoiner. Get real.
Obviously.
Yeah, I think we would agree with you, but his sons seem to be real Bitcoiners, and he does listen to his children, and it seems like they have caught the bug. Whether they're just here for the fiat gains, we don't know, but they are playing the game of accumulation. They are getting that FOMO of, I need to buy as much of this as possible. So maybe Trump himself isn't a real Bitcoiner, quote unquote, but it looks like his family are becoming Bitcoiners in real time.
Let me just be very clear. Trump is not a real Bitcoiner, but I am. That's kind of the only thing that I care about. If Trump is a real Bitcoiner or not is immaterial to me. If our incentives align, that's net positive for me and everybody who owns Bitcoin. Who cares if Trump is a real Bitcoin? Like, what is this purity test? I thought that was so 2017. Like, let's leave that in the past. Let's take a page from Ross's speech at the Bitcoin conference and like unite. Let's unite so that we can get to our goal, because if we start like picking and choosing and whatever, like it's going to hold us back. Like, nothing is perfect. Trump is not a real Bitcoiner. I don't think anyone is saying that he is, but it doesn't really matter because we are. And that's what's important here.
Fully. Look, some Mama Sophie wisdom in here. If Trump just gets out of the way, he's a real Bitcoiner as far as I'm concerned. And chat saying Sophie's spitting bars. So all right, we'll give Sophie some horn. All right, guys. So, hey, it's Friday. Nico's not here. We do a little trolling. I got this meme video. I think it's perfect, and it's going to spark a great conversation. So let's play some memes, guys. I know you've been throwing tomatoes for memes. Well, I got a meme, and it's a long form meme. All right. So, give me some leeway here. They're not on every show, but I'll bring them in when I can. So we got a meme for you.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally not only have an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to hodl while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you today. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Head over to ledn.io today.
All right, guys. So as I told you, the long-awaited semi-meme review is back. I saw this video yesterday, and I think in the face of all this drama around the deficit spending and the debt, I wanted to put it on the show, and then I don't have a guest here today. It's Friday. We're gonna do some trolling. I literally said that like 20 times. We're gonna do some trolling today. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but I thought this was absolutely great. Let me pull it up. I thought I had it here. All right, so this is a meme. It's a video. Aliens discussing debt here. So let's watch this, and then we will discuss about it.
Want to know what I found out the other day?
What did you find out the other day?
Did you know the entire Earth is $315 trillion in debt?
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Who do they owe money to?
Bro, who are they getting money from?
It blows my mind that first off, you have everything on the planet here to live for free.
You literally have everything you need.
And then you invent a system that creates a deterioration of your own resources.
You created a store of value that's literally storing less and less value every day. Every day.
And you're increasing your technology, and yet somehow you still owe money to someone, and it's $315 trillion. There's not enough paper to print that much cash. What are they doing?
Dude, Earth is like the worst meme coin. It's the worst.
It got rugged.
Earth got rugged.
Okay, all right, there you go. A meme for you guys.
I don't know what I
on
found out the other
Friday.
day.
What did you find out the other day?
Did you
All right, guys. But it's not just a meme review because I think because it kind of makes it super ridiculous, it does make like a really good point about like who do we owe debt to? Where is this money coming from? And like they said, you guys invented a store of value that literally loses value. Like, what kind of idiocy is this? This is why we're Bitcoiners. And it sounds like they might be more like shitcoiny, but they seem to be Bitcoiners there. But this is really one of those questions of like, guys, and maybe it works because they're like aliens and they're blue. If you take an objective look of our system and you pull away all the emotions and you kind of, you look at it like an autist, AKA, Elon Musk, and you spurge out on the timeline, it just makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. And this is why we're Bitcoin. It's like, look, there's no debt. It's not debt money. It's not fake IOU debt money. It's computationally energy-backed money that no one can create more from. It means we all get richer over time. It means the whole world's productivity is now smashed into 21 million Bitcoin. And you guys don't think this is a good idea? Like, what is wrong with you guys? In what world doesn't this make sense to you? But hey, I guess, it takes a meme to kind of expose ourselves to ourselves. So, Soph, I know you were laughing about this. I got a real good chuckle out of this. Maybe not like a full LOL, but, like a good dad chuckle, which I'm not a dad yet, but, allegedly. Good dad chuckle. Sophie?
Damn, Opti, is there something you want to tell us?
I'm just saying I don't know, okay?
I mean, it's funny that they said there's not enough paper to print all that money, and it's
facts.
Yeah, because it's just numbers on a screen. Like, they literally just run up the numbers on a screen and that's it. And who do we owe that money to? Ourselves, I guess.
Well, you got to remember, Sophie, debt. What did they say? I can blame? Debt is future money we owe ourselves or whatever.
It's stupid.
It's ridiculous. Oh, look, I'm getting trolled now. Clock is ticking, Opti. Become a father, Opti. Okay, dude. Maybe I already am. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? All I'm saying is I don't know.
Maury.
All I'm saying is I don't know. But one of the big numbers, though, and maybe we got to fact check this. The number they started with, though, $315 trillion in debt. I've never heard that number, but that's $315 trillion is the current estimate for total global debt as of early 2024. Okay, so update this. It's higher than $315 trillion global debt.
Doesn't it go up $1 trillion every 100 days?
Yeah, so we're at like 320. Wait, 12. Maybe
317.
No, because this says early 2024. Every 100 day.
Yeah, 317, almost
318. That's crazy. Okay. So that number is increasing. Is this the point where I pull up the US debt clock again? I already did it this week. But
are you really a Bitcoiner if you don't pull up the debt clock?
And you know the crazy part about this stuff, I don't know if you saw, but everyone keeps telling me to go bottom right because it used to have unfunded liabilities here. They completely nuked unfunded liabilities from this chart, which is probably a telling example of just how much money it just keeps racking up. And if I remember correctly, it was in like the hundreds of trillions. So this national debt
doesn't fit on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the aliens should have said. They're like, there's not enough paper in bro, there's not enough space on the screen to write the number that you need to pay back this debt.
Yeah, let's actually one last thing and then we'll wrap up today. Let's see, what is the US unfunded liabilities? And then we'll wrap up today's show. Let's see, did I get the right one? This is saying 78.3 trillion. I could have swore it was way higher than that. But hey, oh, here we go. We got the number. Some analysts, including broader future commitments and using different methodologies, estimate the U.S. fiscal imbalance, including all unfunded obligations, it is at $162.7 trillion. Oh, you guys can't even see it.
We're just working for free, and everyone is like just printing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, you see it here, guys. And I guess I didn't show you the the debt clock, but you know, here we go. It's a lot, guys, and it keeps going up. This is why we're Bitcoiners. Those blue alien, those avatars were right. Who do we owe
You
this
guys
money
should
to?
add this to the numbers.
What,
the numbers segment.
unfunded
You
liabilities?
should, no, just like add like the whole national debt clock to the numbers and be like, this is what we're fighting against.
Yes, actually.
Remember, this is why we Bitcoin.
Exactly. Actually, great comment here. And I did bring this up in the beginning of the week, but Nico was ranting, so I didn't want to interrupt him. But the interest on the U.S. debt is the big elephant in the room as debt grows. And just to show you guys that number, where is it again on the, oh, here we go. Again, the interest on the debt is greater than the money we spend on defense. Currently at $1.02 trillion interest on our debt. And the defense spending is what, 904 billion. So that is interesting. It's just to finance this debt, just to pay off the interest on our national debt, we spend more than all the money we spend on wars. It's absolutely insane. It's obviously not sustainable. So on the one hand, you know, Elon spurging out on the timeline. We totally get it. On the other hand, you know, the Trump big, beautiful bill or whatever it's called is a little more pragmatic. It got crazy yesterday. I don't even want to get all into it. You already know. You guys already saw it, what's going on. But what a crazy end of the week, guys. It really feels like we're in the, you know, fourth turning. Fourth turning is here. We're Bitcoiners. We can kind of just sit on the sideline and laugh about it on Twitter and see everyone freak out. Just keep stacking. Make sure you have cash flow coming in. Take that Bitcoin into self-custody. And we can just watch all the crazies freak out because it's only going to get crazier from here. Anyway, so if you want to say some last words before we send this one.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because it can only go up from here.
Okay, perfect.
Both the debt and
our
the bags.
number. Okay, one last question. Someone asked, what is the debt per citizen? You can see here it is 107,854 debt per citizen, and then debt per taxpayer is $323,051. So that is your share you have to pay. Okay. Anyways, guys, this was episode, what is it? 1261. It is Friday, June 6th in the year 2025. As you can tell, I'm here once again with the wonderful internet Sophie, aka Nico's wife. So guys, chill out in the chat, guys. You know, a girl comes on the show and you guys spurge out in the chat. Get outside, touch some grass, eat some sun, hang out with people. You know, be nice to our wonderful Sophie here. And then for next week, Nico is working on something behind the scenes. Honestly, I think you might be stuck with me all week. This itinerary, I keep hearing, it gets pushed back even more. He first said he'll be back Wednesday. It's looking like he might not even be back till Thursday. So he might be back Friday. I'm guessing I am going to put the team on my back next week. So you have a whole week of Opti shows. If you don't like me, you can tune in next week or the following week. But you already know we're going to get highly bull-tarded next week. I have Luke filling in with me, so you know we're going to be going even harder on the price predictions. We're going to get super bullish on the show. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. And this has been your boy Opti and the wonderful Sophie. And we will see you next week.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.